Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We have discussed soil aeration and then suboptimal aeration. Now, the other component which is present in the soil pores or spaces, it is water. So, soil water. As the name indicates, the water that is present in the soil, that is known as soil water. Soil is a porous medium. This I have to say again and again. A porous medium that allows water to infiltrate, that is, allows to the water to move in. When it moves in, allows some to pass through. Some water is allowed to pass through the profile and retains a part of it as a soil moisture. So this moisture which is retained, this we are calling soil water. Soil water is the most critical limiting factor for the growth. Everywhere, deserts are due to the deficiency of the both atmospheric as well as soil water. So this is a critical limiting factor. If you have grown flowers and parts at your home, and especially in summer days, if you miss watering, you would see in the evening or the morning, next morning, that the plant has drooped down. So this is critical situation. So this is a critical limiting factor for the growth, development and distribution of macro and microorganisms or all kinds of soil organisms, wild and cultivated plants throughout the world. हमारे पास नहीं, सारी दुनिया में ये critical situation create करता है. This is, I have shown you previously also that the average is 25% or range is 20 to 30. This is the same again picture. I am repeating it so that you can remember it, that 50% is the solid and the 50% is the air and water. Out of those 50, 25 is shale. The range is 20 से लेके 30 तक है. Soil water is vital because it is needed for survival of life. अगर आप थोड़ा सा देखें, those unlucky persons which are crossing through the ferry or through a ship from Pakistan or from other countries moving towards European countries, and the ship within the sea drowns, then one of the reasons is that no water is available for them. Sea water cannot be used, so they also die. इनकी biological activities जो है, kidney failures occurs, heart failures occurs, other life processes they are affected. So this is must for, just like oxygen, for survival of life this is needed. For growth of plants and microbes are needed. For all physiological, biological, biochemical processes, whatever process you name in an organism, physiological process, let's say plants, respiration, transpiration, reproduction, all biological process, chemical changes occurs, biochemical process, that is the chemical changes, reactions which are occurring within the leaf, within the body, within the stem or within human body or bacterial body, all of that they are affected. Uptake of nutrients occurs in solution form. We cannot provide nutrients in a powder form to the plants. They have to be changed into nutrient form. Whenever we spray or broadcast commercial fertilizer like ammonium nitrate or these things, then it needs water to move in and to become soluble, to be absorbed by the plants. Dry material cannot be absorbed. Evapotranspiration loss may be 1 centimeter per day, or say 100,000 kg of per hectare per day. So evaporation and transpiration. Evapotranspiration means evaporation and transpiration. Evaporation from the open surface, transpiration from the leaf surface of the plants. Soil water makes a continuous system of hydrosphere from atmosphere to soil, plants, water bodies, making a hydrological cycle. ये जो hydrological cycle है या wherever water is present, water is linked. Water within the soil, water within the plant, water within the human body, water within the organismic body. It is all of them, they are linked in some form. Sometime in a humid form, sometime in a aqueous situation, sometime in a vaporous form. This blanket of water, which is present in the atmosphere, which is present in the soil, which is present in the plants, or which is present in the water body in the form of rivers, streams, oceans, or glaciers. This makes a hydrosphere. And this water moves, circulates among different components. This mobility cycling is known as hydrological cycle. Hydrological cycle links ocean, seas, lakes, streams, groundwater, soil moisture, atmospheric vapors into one whole system. It is a complete system cycle in which water circulates between the abiotic and biotic part. Abiotics में the water moves into the biotic part to plants, animal microbes, and then that is released to the atmosphere. So this is also cycling from biotic to abiotic, abiotic to biotic. Or the link is that all kinds of water, they are linked with each other in a cyclic way, making one whole system. Hydrological system has 3 steps या processes. एक तो reservoir है, definitely reservoir जो है is that part of the biogeochemical cycle which contains the material. That means oceans, since we are talking water, so ocean is reservoir. Air as a water vapors, lakes, glaciers, groundwater, evaporative water, wind, precipitation, rainfall, move water. This is one reservoir. Assimilation, when we use it, plants absorb water from the air and from the soil or from the water body. Animals drink water and eat other organisms, plants, other organisms. So again there is a transfer of water from one organism to another organism, and that is assimilated. Assimilated, that means that it is utilized not wholly but partly for the formation of the body. Release, I said partly. So partly because then there is a release system. Plants transpire, animals breathe, secrete, excrete liquid wastes. Animal plants when die, moisture evaporates. So this is the utility. This is a very simple hydrological cycle. You can say vapors in the form of cloud, rain, they come down, precipitation में आ जाते हैं नीचे, soil के ऊपर they may join water body, evaporation occurs, condensation occurs, precipitation occurs, mountains, groundwater. So just biotic to abiotic, or again from a reverse would happen. Once water reaches the earth, in the form of rainfall, in the form of a water body, in the form of snowfall, in the form of ice, or whatever the form may be. But once it reaches the earth, it infiltrates into the soil. This is one possibility, that it would move into the soil. Quick movement sandy soil में होगी. क्विक मूवमेंट इन्फिल्ट्रेशन स्टोनी सॉइल में होगी, लूज सॉइल में होगी. Flows as a run of water at the soil surface, or it may flow on the soil surface. If a soil cannot accommodate water because of its texture or because of its saturation, then it would flow. ये सैलाब जो आते हैं because water habitat soil cannot accommodate them, so they move on the surface from one part to another part. They may be absorbed or retained by the soil particle. If infiltration occurs, they move down, so they can be absorbed and retained by the soil. Or they may join the underground water table, permanent water table. Due to the gravitational force, they would move to the depths. ये जो पानी से हम कुआं निकालते हैं, that we reach to that level where this water is present, and that is the groundwater table. Water is divided into two zones. Soil, zone of aeration, वो zone where oxygenation is there, air is present. This is unsaturated zone with respect to water. Zone of saturation, including permanent groundwater with no or poor aeration. ये आप देखें कि कुएं में जब बंदे उतरते हैं सफाई के लिए या किसी काम के लिए, तो sometimes death occurs because oxygen is not there या poor carbon dioxide is there or other gases are there. So that is zone of saturation. Soil water. All water entering the soil is collectively called as soil moisture or soil water. Whatever water is there, अच्छा बुरा पानी, whatever बद बुचीदी, if they are present within the soil, चाहे पोर के साथ हों, attached to the particles हों, किसी भी फॉर्म में हों, फ्रीज फॉर्म में हों, ह्यूमिड फॉर्म में हों, वेपरस फॉर्म में हों, लिक्विड फॉर्म में हों, उसको हम soil moisture कहेंगे या soil water कहेंगे. Any water held by the soil particles, pore space, and in hygroscopic form within the soil. This is another definition, that is the soil moisture or soil water. Hydrosphere, just I have introduced this term there. Water makes a continuous system in soil, plant, air. The sum total of all the water on earth makes a hydrosphere. The sum total of all kinds of water, whether within the soil, whether within the plant, whether in the human body, whether on the mountain, where जहाँ भी है, that means sum total of all the water is called hydrosphere. Lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere. So this is a sphere which is an aquasphere. In the aqueous envelope of Earth, including the oceans, lakes, streams, underground water, polar or mountain glaciers, all of them, they make a hydrosphere which run the biological system. This is another easy way. I borrowed it from the net. You can see there water cycle. Again, a simple way. Clouds are there, mountains are there, glaciers are there, water coming in the form of precipitation. Precipitation means snowfall, hail, गले के दिल, rain, surface water, groundwater. Ultimately, again, evaporation, utility by the plants occur, transpiration occur. So this is a regular cycle running on the hydrosphere. State of water in the soil. अब ये जो पानी है which enters, we have said in the beginning that after infiltration some water is drained, some water is retained. अब ये जो retained water है इसकी different states हैं. एक state है कि we call saturation. A soil is said to be saturated when water from any external source, including rain, snow, melt, flooding, or irrigation completely fills all the space, leaving no space for the air, leaving no space for further addition of water. आप खेत को irrigate करते हैं, you irrigate to the extent that water stays there. If you are watering a ornamental pot, you irrigate them to the brim of the pot and it stays there. This is saturation. This means there would be no gas as long as this saturated water is there. So this is known as saturation. Whenever saturation occurs, saturated water, then if it is in the open, then it would move down, run down in the direction of the slope. This is known as runoff water. Runoff water occurs because of saturation or because of hindrances, clay soil, hot soil, stony soil. Water cannot enter, so it moves along those surface. थर्ड वाटर जो है वो ग्रेविटेशनल वाटर कहलाता है. Gravity pulls everything down because of the gravitational force. This also pulls down the water in the soil. Rain comes under the influence of the gravity to the soil. Water moving from the mountains, glaciers, hails, they come under gravitational force. So once they enter the soil, it doesn't stay there. Gravity keeps on pulling them downward towards the groundwater. The surplus water that cannot be retained by soil particles or spaces or pores moves freely downwards through the macropores due to gravitational force. पानी जो है within a soil, there are two places where this water is accommodated. One is around the particles in the form of a thin film, and other is the space. So if more water is there, that is loosely held. इसकी absorption, वो cohesive forces, adhesive forces, they become weaker. When they are weak, this is easily pulled down. Gravitational water generally moves rapidly out of well-drained soil within 2 to 3 days. Therefore, it is unavailable to soil organisms. Gravitational water, whenever we irrigate a field, saturate हो जाएगा तो 2-3 दिन बाद वो ऊपर से ड्राई होगा. Depending upon the water holding capacity. Then बारिश हो जाती है तो what would happen कि पानी खड़ा हो जाएगा, but it will take 2-3 clay soil है तो 5-6 days per, sometime 10 days, depending upon the amount of saturation. This would stay there, or gravitational water would pull it down, evaporational force would pull it up, evaporate करेगा. The water present in excess of field capacity. Field capacity हम उसको कहते हैं कि the capacity of the soil particles retaining that water, the capability of the particles to retain water, वो हम field capacity कहते हैं. पुख्तो के लिए तो वतर हुई, वेला का पटे वतर देखा वतर न दे, ना पंजाबियान में तम वतर हुई. Water means field capacity. ये -1 to -3 बार या इससे ज़्यादा पे हो सकता है. लेकिन फ्री जो वाटर होगा that would move under the force of the gravity, और ये जो field capacity वाला है या बाकी पानी है, it would be retained there, it would remain in the soil. ये आप देख लें कि दो situations हैं. One is gravitational water. All this blue is gravitational. Brown is a soil particle. This can easily move. Capillary water, which is present in the small pores, that cannot move easily. So capillary water, gravitational water, this would be two kind of situations, states that are present in the soil. Capillary water. After all the gravitational water has drained out, 2-3 दिन बाद पानी नीचे चला जाएगा because of gravitational pull. Still water would be there. It would be retained by the particles or by the pores. Soil would be moist. This is known as capillary water. This is the water which is available to plants, available to animals, available to microbes, available for all the physiological processes of the organisms which occupy that capillary zone. Then slowly and gradually, if no more water is being added to the habitat, slowly and gradually this water would evaporate or utilized by plants and would be transpired. The soil becomes dry. When the soil becomes dry, it first would show sign of dryness by showing wilting of plants. Wilting का मतलब है कि जी पौधा मुरझा जाएगा, but in the evening at night it would again gain some moisture. Morning it would be erect, happy. Again sunny situation would maybe pulling it down, water will be pulled up, evaporated, used, and it would again, this is known as temporary wilting. Then a stage would reach when this temporary wilting would no more survive. There would be no water in the pores. Plants, they wilt to death. Uchi, mlashi. This wilting generally starts at minus 15 bars. Starts. At wilted situation it may be 25, 30, 40 bar तक पहुंच जाएगा. So बूटी मड़ावी शी, मड़ावी केदल शुरू शी, that is the temporary wilting point. बिल्कुल मुड़ शी, या कहते उबोम के आने जम देखेगी, वो दोबारा जिंदा नहीं होगा, तो उसका मतलब है कि वो परमानेंट विल्टिंग होगी, उसके टिश्यू हैज डाइड. Another situation is the hygroscopic water. Whenever all capillary water has been exhausted, capillary water is usable water. Plants can use it, microbes can use it, it can be evaporated by the heat. So when this finishes, capillary water has exhausted, but still soil has moisture in the form of thin vaporous films. ये आप याद रखें कि कोई भी हवा, कोई भी सॉइल 100% या ज़ीरो लेवल मॉइस्चर पे नहीं आएगा. वो जो ज़ीरो लेवल मॉइस्चर जिसको हम कहते हैं चिदा खौरा बिल्कुल ज़मका ऊंचा कड़ा सा ऊंचा था, it has vapors which are very tightly held around the soil particles irrespective of their sizes. It has a uniform thin size, particle छोटा हो बड़ा हो, but this film of water is a uniform. It sticks very tightly to the particles by adhesive forces. Adhesive force हम उसको कहते हैं कि when the water molecule is attracted by the soil particle, the force between the particle and the water particle, और ये exceed करेगा -31 bars, or it may reach to 10,000 bars. This is a very strong pressure which cannot be utilized, which cannot, वो पानी जो है उसको हम नहीं एक्सट्रैक्ट कर सकते किसी भी फॉर्म से by living organism. उस वक्त soil is practically ecologically dry कहलाएगा. You can see, ये देखें hygroscopic situation है. Gaps, all gaps are vacant, pore space is vacant, only water is left where around the particles. ये blue margin जो आप देख रहे हैं, ये blue margins, this is around the particle. Hygroscopic situation है. These are films around the particle. So this film of water you cannot, plants cannot, microbe cannot extract, even temperature cannot evaporate it. So this is ecologically dry soil. Soil moisture at this stage is called hydroscopic water or hygroscopic coefficient. At this stage all the macro pores are vacant. वो आपने देखा vacant थे. Those particles which are retaining moisture in the thin form में, this is unavailable to that plant microbe. For every organism this is unavailable. Now we are coming to another form of water, combined water. Since relative humidity never reaches zero, as I said, it would never be zero. Therefore, hygroscopic water can neither be used by the plants nor it can be completely evaporated under ordinary atmospheric condition. जो भी उस सलाह की atmospheric conditions है, high temperature, winds cannot evaporate it, नहीं हो सकता. लेकिन अगर आप चाहें forcefully, you can remove it. Hygroscopic water can be removed by heating the soil sample. कोई भी sample जो है 105 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड पे 72 आवर्स के लिए, और यही हम टेम्परेचर यूज़ करते हैं whenever we want to determine the soil moisture. तो soil moisture जो है determination के लिए soil sample को we heat it up in a 105 या sometime 110 for 72 hours. Before drying weigh करते हैं, after weigh करते हैं, the difference is calculated, परसेंट मॉइस्चर मालूम करते हैं. सो वो जो वाटर है वो कंबाइंड वाटर, जिसको हम कैपिलरी हाइग्रोस्कोपिक वाटर को हमने एवापोरेट कर दिया, लेकिन क्या है उस मिट्टी के दाने के अंदर स्टिल पानी प्रेजेंट है. स्टिल वो जो मिनरल है, मिट्टी का दाना है, स्टिल इट हैज़ वाटर. वो वाटर कंबाइंड वाटर कहलाता है बिकॉज दैट इज़ अ पार्ट ऑफ द क्रिस्टल, पार्ट ऑफ द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ दैट पार्टिकल. वो इवोपरेट नहीं होगा. अब वही पानी रह जाता है जो जिसको हम कंबाइंड वाटर कहते हैं. तो ये कंबाइंड वाटर को भी आप कर सकते हैं. इंसान तो बड़ा तेज़ जालिम बंदा है. अगर इसको आप हीट करें 500-600 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड पे, an irreversible change would occur, an irreversible chemical change would occur, breakdown of the mineral structure would occur. You cannot reverse it. ये हाइग्रोस्कोपिक या बाकी पानी को आप रिवर्स कर सकते हैं, बट वी कैन नॉट रिवर्स इट. इफ़ यू heat a soil at 500 or 600 degrees centigrade or higher than this, the crystal, whatever the original structure was, that would be broken down. वो जो included water है in the form of combined water, that would be gone. This is a diagram which I made. To on the top is the saturation water, then there is a runoff water, then comes gravitational water, then comes capillary water, permanent wilting point पे आते हैं, then we have a hygroscopic water, then the combined water. अब ऊपर से अगर आप नीचे आते हैं, ये देखें रेड मैंने किया हुआ है, तीर का निशान नीचे है, तो there is a decrease in water, soil moisture decreasing, maximum at saturation, no water at combined. अगर इस तरफ से ऊपर जाते हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल वी आर एडिंग वाटर, तो हाइग्रोस्कोपिक्स में वो ज़रा से चेंज हो जाएगा, कंडीशन अच्छी हो जाएगी, विल्टिंग पे आ जाएगा, विल्टिंग से सम मोर वाटर वुड बी देयर, कैपिलरी हो जाएगा, स्टिल यू ऐड ग्रेविटेशनल वाटर अवेलेबल होगा, स्टिल यू ऐड सेचुरेशन के करीब होगा, सो रन ऑफ वाटर वुड बी देयर, अल्टीमेटली द सॉइल और वट एवर द हैबिटेट इट बिकम्स है। तो ये रिवर्सिबल है, रिवर्सिबल चेंज कैन भी हो सकता है। यू कैन start from the saturation, even get rid of the combined water, और ये irreversible change होगी combined water वाली, you cannot make it soil again, this would not be called soil, it would change into separate component minerals. Biological classification एक और classification भी है। Biological classification जो है this इसके biologically water is available या not available। एक को हम कहते हैं टोटल अवेलेबल वाटर या होल्डिंग कैपेसिटी, अवेलेबल वाटर या ग्रोथ वाटर, द वाटर विच इज़ अवेलेबल फॉर द ग्रोथ प्लांट कैन यूटिलाइज, दिस इज़ द amount of water stored by the soil which is available for the plants or the other through absorption routes, through absorption general body surface like earthworms. Generally, it is the amount water retained between the field capacity and the wilting point. So wilting point और field capacity के दरमियान जो वक्फा है, that is available water. Field capacity, the moisture contents retained by a soil when downward movement of water has actually, practically, virtually ceased. This is called field capacity. It is the percentage of moisture held by the soil pores against gravitational. ये gravitational water इसको नीचे नहीं ले जा सकती, evaporation कर सकती है. Water is held in the micro and capillary pores and around the soil particles in the form of thin film. Locally, this stage पश्तो में वतर पटे वतर शवे दे के नदर शे तो गोरा, और ये पंजाब में हज़ारा में देकाल वतरा के वतरा ते आया नहीं आया। अनअवेलेबल वाटर जिस तरह के नाम ज़ाहिर है कि ये अवेलेबल नहीं है, कि जी सर ये फैसिलिटी आपको अवेलेबल नहीं है। एज द नेम इंडिकेट्स, दिस फैसिलिटी of absorption utility of water is not available to the plants, to the animals, and this would be held at water is retained, held up, tied up at a potential lower than -15 bars. At this point, ये वही जो पिछली बात मैंने आपसे कही कि जी the soil is said to be ecologically dry. Actually there is no water. एक और किस्म का होता है फिजियोलॉजिकली ड्राई। दो किस्म की ड्राइनेस हैं सॉइल वाटर में, इकोलॉजिकल व्हेन देयर इज़ नो वाटर और विल्टिंग परसेंटेज पे होगा, हाइग्रोस्कोपिक परसेंटेज पे होगा। फिजियोलॉजिकली ड्राई, ये साल्टेड सॉइल जो होते हैं, समंदर का पानी अवेलेबल नहीं है पीने के लिए, पौधे इसमें नहीं ग्रो कर सकेंगे। ऑल्दो रिसोर्स इज देयर, पानी इज देयर, waterlogged area में water is there, but plants are unable to utilize it because of salinity. So physiological dryness, ecological dryness. These are some of the diagram. I borrowed it from various publications or book. You can see this black is the water, or the slanting one is the soil particle, and the white spots, they are the air there. So permanent wilting pe you can see no filling is there, only gaps and soil particles. Again, this is another diagram. I liked it, that water capacity, water at the field capacity level, this is available. It can be drained, it can be available. ये नल का जो बनाया हुआ है, इससे थोड़ा सा आप आ जाए तो यहाँ भी आप देखें वाटर कंटेंट, ये फील्ड कैपेसिटी पे है, ये भी अवेलेबल है। नीचे आप देखें वाटर का परमानेंट विल्टिंग पॉइंट पे है, ये देखें ये नल का लगा हुआ इससे नीचे है, you cannot use it, it cannot drain it. So this is just to make you further explanation for you. These various states of water are interchangeable due to availability or absence of the water. Deficiency of water in air and soil proceeds towards wilting. Whenever there is a deficiency of the water, it would proceed to come हो रहा है, so it would move on towards wilting point और ultimately hygroscopic coefficient पे चले जाएंगे और ultimately ecological dryness would occur. Whereas availability of water, अगर रेनफॉल है तो दिस होल सिचुएशन इस सेकंड पैरे में जो हमने बताई है डेफिशिएंसी, दिस वुड रिवर्स टू सैचुरेशन. सो इंटरचेंजेबल है. Thank you very much for listening to